to you, Reese Roberts, listening to us on Twitch.
Man, is it me?
It's always you.
Foos presents FoosTalk Live.
Our resident butt smoker, Adam Gilson. Welcome back, Adam.
Every time I hear that, I just shake my head. Resident smoker. What a legacy I've built for foosball in this short year.
Well, I wanted to add something to the intro as well, that you are also an expert when it comes to manufacturing sauerkraut.
Yeah, fermenting. I have 33 pounds. Yeah, I've already
in the
had
house
some for dinner in the house. In the hallway.
In the
I
house.
feel compelled to defend or at least clarify here that for those of you joining us for the first time at Twitch or at Podbean, butt smoking is when you take a pork butt, it's a piece of meat, you smoke it, you get it tender, you eat it. Just wanted to clarify that.
I didn't know there would be any misunderstanding.
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live.
Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos, it's the 113th episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by Inside Foos, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded, plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier foosball safety accessory. Go to protecto-flex.com. Brought to you by Rodlock. Practice more, reach less. The best practice tool in foosball. Visit rod-lock.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items in foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com today. Also brought to you by Foosballers the Movie. This Joe Hesslinger documentary is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robinson. It is episode 113, and it's great to be back together with the gang once again. And, of course, conversation about foosball is always better when you have someone to share it with, such as the world's greatest play-by-play announcer in the sport of foosball, which would be Jim Stevens. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody watching at Twitch and listening at the Podbean app. And lucky number 113th. How about that?
Oh, yes.
Looking forward to another great show. Of course, we've got the full gang here tonight. And of course, Erik Hueltner going to join us as well. We've got a good top five. Lots of great things coming up tonight, Tom.
You know, Jim, I think it's worth for me to begin the show tonight to say that I will not be making reference to butt smoking tonight. I will not do that.
Thank God.
I think
but by doing so, you do so. What is it's like a Buddhist riddle here? But anyway, sorry, don't want to butt in here.
But Adam, I mean,
Oh, hey, it's the butt smoker, everybody. That's the butt smoker.
That guy.
Adam Gilson.
That's what he looks like. That's what a butt smoker. Anyway, sorry.
No, I understand.
I don't want
into high-end blow dryers these days.
Oh, blow dryers.
Blow dryers.
Yes, I am into that. That was my takeaway from Texas State, was that I realized I've been getting really excited for tournaments for a lot of reasons, but one is that there's hair dryers in the room usually.
Right.
And I don't have one. I know
Custom.
that sounds silly, but when you've got like 4 feet of hair, I know, because I keep a yardstick in my shower. That's how much hair I have. So it's hard to dry, especially when you go to the more humid climes. So yeah, butt smoking and blow dryers.
And Mark Torres, who confessed earlier tonight that he was out playing foosball last night.
I'll just be brief on that. It was horrible.
Oh, horrible.
I played like my third draw your partner in 11 years in Chicago or whatever it is, and I got destroyed. Like every rookie and amateur had a banner evening just wrecking me. And it's really good going into the Beach Town beatdown with that type of... And the sad thing is, I had no motivation to improve or get any better afterward. I got obliterated, and I came home and I looked at my foosball table and I was like, yeah, still don't care, but I love being here. I love talking about it.
Well, we gotta know. I mean, were you doing any trash talking last night?
No.
No.
That's another fallacy. The fallacy is I'm a huge proponent of all this stuff about being able to engage. I don't really do. Adam's played with me. Adam played with. I don't talk at all. Like Adam, would you say I talk?
Well,
to
wait
myself?
a minute, Mark. Wait a minute, Mark. Now, occasionally on table number 1, when we jump down there between matches, you are talking smack big time, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's
mostly
fine,
to your detriment, because what you say is then counteracted pretty quickly thereafter. Hey, speaking about talking smack, Adam, I know you have one of these as well.
I didn't bring it.
You didn't bring it.
That's not real.
Still basking in the glory of the greatest event in foosball history,
Nice
the
Photoshop.
Knicks 4-on-4
Photoshop.
at the Texas State Championship.
Wow.
I knew, Jim. I knew you didn't. You underplayed it last week, but that was a huge win. And when
big.
anybody asks me who we beat, I say, well, we beat Romero and Munoz and Spredeman.
Among others. If we could remember who the others were, we would let you know.
Yeah.
Hannah was there.
Hannah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I remember. It was fun though.
Well, I mean,
not to diminish it, but when you have when you're starving and someone gives you a cracker, it's the best damn cracker you've ever had. So if you haven't won anything in 25 years and you win a 4-on-4, of course you're gonna lose your minds.
I think it was all down to
Mr.
Noelia.
1990s amateur doubles.
I'm sorry, dudes. I think Noelia pulled you off.
1990s. Sorry, Tom.
I'm sorry,
Noelia. Tom, back to you.
Yeah, Noelia won it for you guys. That's all there is to it.
Yes, I'll cop to that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make it straight here. So this of course is now our second episode featured on Twitch TV. And yes, you can visit us on Twitch TV. You can actually see us rather than just listen on Podbean. But Twitch TV, and of course, one of the reasons that we're able to do this is because of our tech wizard from Dallas, Texas. It would be Clay Toomey. Hello, Clay. Clay, are you there?
Clayby. Did you get called Clayby? Is that what did I hear a Clayby?
From now on, you're Clayby. Hey, how can people access the show on Twitch? What's the shortcut? How can they get there quickly?
The internet connection.
Go to twitch.tv and then just search for FoosTalk Live, all one word.
There you go.
You can also go, if you want to type in the address itself, it's FoosTalk. It's twitch.tv/FoosTalk Live.
Nice.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
And if you follow, you'll get notifications every Sunday night when we go live.
And the conversation that's been taking place even from last week, I mean, it was stimulating to say the least, right?
Yeah, I was stimulated. Sure.
And because of the video, we could tell.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's part of the joy of having videos. You can tell when people are stimulated.
You know, guys, one of the real underrated players on tour these days is a guy that we're going to be speaking with tonight here in a little bit.
Yes.
But a guy that we tend to forget about. You look at his record, he's got some titles, obviously, good enough to play with the great Tony Spredeman and win titles with Tony Spredeman. Just think, this is a question I actually wanted to ask him tonight. What if you had played Erik Hueltner with Tony Spredeman more often? Would Tony perhaps have added a couple of world championships? Anyway, but this is a guy that we forget about. But when you break it down, if we were to do the top 5 goalies, I think in the game today, he's probably on that list, right?
Oh, no question. No,
yeah.
Didn't we do a top 5 on the top 5 goalies? Didn't he make that list?
Top 5 current goalies. He probably would. I'm not sure we've done a current one. We kind of did one from historical perspective. But it's made a lot of fun talking with Mr. Erik Hueltner here tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a very interesting time, especially now we're becoming veterans of Twitch TV. But you know what?
2 weeks in, weeks in, we're veterans.
We're like,
we already have a Twitch question, and it's is that Adam's dirty laundry? Just hey, it's cool. No one's judging. Just is it dirty laundry?
That's his hair.
It's not smell-o-vision.
No, it's a cat.
Oh,
is that creepy
out,
or no?
Man. Check it out.
It's a little creepy, dude. That's a life-size.
No, that's just it's a cat. It's a cat throw thing. If you're Facebook friends with me, you know that I have lots of cats and I post pictures of them. There's nothing wrong with that,
dude.
Adam's our cat lady.
Crazy cat lady. Thank you.
Crazy.
And I'm a cat dad, so dude.
Hey Tom, do we have a show to do tonight or what?
No. I thought maybe we could get around to. And you know what's nice about this Twitch TV is now people can actually see that we're truly consuming a cold one.
What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA
Jim, I would like to know, what are you drinking?
For those of you who know me, you know what I think of the Melvin Brewery up in Alpine, Wyoming. To me, it's the #1 brewery in America. Their Melvin 2x4 double IPA is maybe my favorite beer, but this one is good as well. This is the Melvin Back into Haze.
Ooh,
it's a hazy beer from back in the days of probably 2020, but very tasty. It's a 6.5% alcohol, and I'm kind of into the hazies these days. I'm really enjoying the hazies, trying different hazies around the country. Let's give it a shot.
Out of the can, no less.
Delicious.
You usually just pour right into a glass, man. That's unique.
Yeah, I often do, and sometimes I like, especially on a hot day. It was 95 here in Durango. One nice thing is, I digress real quickly. It does get 95 here in Durango, but by about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 maybe, it's down to about 55. So we open the windows up, instant air conditioning, and it's really something. Right, 7,000 feet. But anyway, back into Haze.
Yeah,
Melvin Brewery.
Wow,
living on the edge, Jim. No snifter. Living on the edge.
Yeah, seriously, man, right out of the can. So, Adam, what?
I'm just trying to be one of the people. You know me, Mark.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Pray tell, Adam, what bring you to the table?
All right, I changed my strategy.
There was one.
So, no, the strategy before this was I would like to look at the picture on the can, but my new strategy is this. I'm just going with what has the best puns, right? Which I think is fair. So that's why I went with Firestone Hopnosis IPA.
I'm getting sleepy.
And there's an I. So let's just try this bad boy.
Is it a double?
No, this is just a single, and it's Firestone Brewery.
Okay.
Firestone Walker Brewery.
Yeah,
Nice.
Firestone Walker.
Good stuff.
See how it is.
Out of Paso Robles, California, they do nice work. Very, very nice brewery.
Oh, I've had their stuff.
I've been to the
I really
winery,
like it, yeah.
but this is a West Coast IPA. All right? It's a little more tart. It's a little more pungent. It's not in my comfort zone, so I don't see myself drinking. What is this? 4 quarts. This thing, but the flavor. I'm gonna come back to it. I gotta let it sit. I think it has to open up.
All right. Well,
Put it in a snifter. Put it in a snifter, buddy.
Like
That's
wine.
the secret.
That's
Let me
it.
get on Amazon.
And no one's doing
Tom?
a double. Nobody's doing a double IPA tonight, which I'm finding comforting, because I'm not drinking a double tonight either. By the way, this one is called Deeds, Not Words. Don't know if you can see it, but Deeds, Not Words. This actually is also called My Favorite Thing, which is it's just a New England IPA.
It's going to be good. That's going to be good.
This one comes from Largo, Florida. They're called Commerce Brewing, 6% alcohol by volume, and I am going to pour this one. And of course, now you can see I've got a clear glass, and there is a bit of an orange haze to it.
Look at that. Largo is in the Tampa area where Erik Hueltner lives.
Yeah, I thought that would be an appropriate thing for us tonight. So here's
nice color. Very nice color. Good glass, Tom.
Oh,
well
indeed. Done. Oh, here we go. Oh, I'm digging it. I mean, I'm going to need like 4 or 5 of these to get the same effect as usual, but it's
looking
6%.
forward to it.
Well, down the hatch. And here's to, first of all, we want to salute to the Southern Florida Foosball Club tonight on a Group of the Week.
Once again, the minorities need to wait to drink, but that's cool.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you said you want to opt out, so So
I never said that, Tom.
Oh, you never said that. Oh, my bad. What are you
just
drinking?
kidding. I don't want any part of this.
I think he has a real drink tonight. You have a real drink tonight? No, you have not.
That's soda.
I have a LaCroix.
LaCroix.
It's a LaCroix.
LaCroix.
As you know, I'm Amish and I shun all materialism and I shun technology. So I'm drinking a LaCroix.
Mark, I like how you
make good ovens, though.
I'll bet you Clay's having a Dr. Pepper. That's what I bet. Clay, you having a Dr. Pepper?
I hope he is. There it is. Oh, from McDonald's even. Well done.
Solid.
Ice is melted. It's a little warm, but it's still good.
I do not get ice in my drinks, sir. I am not a pitiful American.
No ice?
When it comes to that. I do not why would I put ice in my drinks? It's already cold. I don't need to dilute it.
Well, we wouldn't put ice in this either.
You make a great point, actually, because when I've traveled to Europe, I've gone to McDonald's, I've gone to other places in Europe. Generally, they're not putting ice in their drinks.
If you're not in a bar, they're not putting.
It's an American thing.
Yeah. No, when I was in Europe last month, I put everywhere I went. I'm used to ordering drinks with no ice. And a few restaurants that we went to, they just looked at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Right.
Yeah, I don't. And then it took me a minute to realize, oh yeah, they don't do that here because they're not strange.
Right. I remember trying to get a Jack and Coke when I was in Ireland, and it was just this tiny little cup with a spritz of Jack Daniels, maybe, and a tiny little lukewarm bottle or can of
lukewarm
Coke. Yeah, it was just room temperature.
Best Jack and Coke you've ever had in Ireland, though, right?
Well, that's actually 100% true. Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
What is the
just wanted to share?
What is the most unusual drink you guys have had? Just a round robin of taste. What's the most unusual thing you've ever had to drink that's alcoholic in nature? Jim?
That's a tough one. I'm going to pass. I'm going to have to think about that for a minute.
Oh, okay.
I got one. I spent 2 years living in Hong Kong, and part of my territory was Inner Mongolia. And when I went to Inner Mongolia, I was a guest at a dinner, and they had throat singers there, and it was very cool. But they gave me a silver bowl of something that I could only reconcile must have been some kind of vodka. And you drink out of a bowl, and it's different. Like drinking into excess is a rite.
Are you like in a yurt? You're like in a yurt in the middle of the high desert. Is that where you were?
I wish it was that extravagant. It was like a hotel lounge area. It was not even that rustic, but they give you a bowl. I don't know to this day. I don't know what it was. And then drinking to excess is like a rite of passage. So they get you blackout drunk like
you
3
have
nights
to.
a week.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anyway, it was weird. I'll try to find out what it was next week and surprise everybody.
Yes, I'd love to hear about that.
Love that.
So,
Great.
Adam, what's
Mark.
the most unusual thing you've had to drink?
I think this beer. It's starting to repeat on me. It's a tie. I think lukewarm plastic bottle tequila from Trader Joe's mixed with room temperature green Gatorade.
Oh my God!
We used to call it a lawnmower.
And that was just this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We used to call it that, and it ended this morning.
The lawnmower.
No, it's just the lawnmower because it's what we have to drink because you couldn't. We would because it would not when I was a teenager. We'd fake bringing these things into not class. And I say class. At parties and stuff, but we weren't old enough to drink. You don't put ice in it, so it doesn't draw suspiciousness from somebody like Clay who hates ice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Lawnmower. Lawnmower.
Well, the most unusual thing that I've had is actually one of the better things, and I'm not a hard liquor person. That's not something I do mostly, but there is a thing that I was introduced to in college, and I've had several times since then. But a good buddy of mine, he makes his own home brew of this stuff. It's called Krupnikas, and he's Lithuanian, by the way, and he's passed on this recipe from his grandfather and whatever. And it's the best thing I think I've ever, any kind of alcohol or liquor, it's the best tasting. And it sneaks up on you, so a couple of Krupnikas and you're off for the duration on the safari. It's amazing.
I like that. Not the duration.
Guys, I think we have just set a record. We're 20 minutes into the show, and I think this is the least foosball we've ever talked about. Any 20-minute segment.
Can't help
myself live.
It's because I can see you guys. I feel like I'm
right.
Yeah, it is different. I know.
I
And we kind of miss each other, don't we?
I know,
folks. We miss each other. We see each other once a week, or we don't. And then when we're all together like this, it's like a party. We forget you're out there.
We're catching up.
But we've just remembered that now. Tom, take over.
I feel nothing.
Krupnikas. Let's
wait. Before we this quick question from Twitch, and I think we should address it real quick. Leap and Lou says, Twitch for the win. Are we on a break with Podbean? Are we still doing Podbean, or is that not definitive yet?
It's Podbean is working tonight. It's just I had to restart. I had to recreate the show on Podbean because there was a glitch when we first launched it tonight, and I had to completely reset it and put out a new live show. It is out there. You can get to it if you go to Podbean. It just doesn't. It says FoosTalk Live episode 113, ProMaster Erik Hueltner. So
would we be continuing on Podbean, do you think, moving forward, or is this the kind of a transition to Twitch, which is equally accessible, if not more?
Yeah, there is that. So we could talk about that for the future. But tonight, we had a little bit of an issue on Podbean, but you know what? It's still going to be out there as a podcast when it's done. So not a problem. But anyway, guys, I thought perhaps if we really want to talk about foosball, we should take a look back when it comes to the FoosTalk Live Flashback.
With great moments in foosball history. This is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Thanks, Kevin. It's a better possibility on Kevin's 2-bar, which is right.
That's 6 or 7 he has scored in this match from goal.
They're completely confused now.
It's a heck of a 2-bar.
All we know is if Kane gets on his 5-bar, he should pass it back to Kevin.
At this stage, that's what we're looking at. For the win, Tony Spredeman closes it out as Spredeman and Hueltner defeat Romero and Gabriel to win the 2021 Texas State Open Doubles Championship. Look at Hueltner. That's the biggest win of his career with his good buddy Tony Spredeman as they defeat the outstanding duo of Romero and Gabriel to win it.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
What memories. I mean, it was so long ago, 2021. But,
yeah, I mean, listening to that, right, you can kind of hear that we all kind of had smiles on our faces as we were commentating that.
Yes.
And anytime we can go back to that event, that 2021 Texas State Championship, kind of the first big event, the first major after, COVID, all of us, you were there too, Tom, all of us were there. And what a very special event that was. And for Erik Hueltner as well, as we said, I believe, and we'll ask him about this, but I believe that was his first major championship. And of course, came back this year with Tony and won as well. So, but what great memories for all of us, right? Right, Mark, Tom, Adam, and Clay, all of us were there. And what a great event that was.
It really was. It was on the edge of your seat kind of competition because Kevin Romero and Kane Gabriel were just dig it in, man. They did some great playing as well. Especially the 2-rod of Kevin. I mean, just wow. I mean, the as Mark was commentating, saying, just give him the ball, man. Don't even worry about your 5-rod. Just give him the ball and let him shoot, because he kept hitting those shots. Just amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
There are times when you feel like, and you probably get into this, and when we got Erik on the show, there are times you feel like you need to hide someone on the team, and it felt like that match that Kane needed to be hidden. No offense, Kane, if you listen to this, but. You weren't at your best, and look, you should have been playing goal when it was your drop, and you should have been playing forward so Kevin could shoot it out of the back. And that was a great match to watch, though. It was a great match.
Exciting stuff. So
and I do recall that the switch, though, that Kevin was playing back because he had been kind of ineffective the last couple of matches at forward. So they figured they'd try something different. And certainly when you're talking about the best shooting goalies on tour right now, Kevin Romero is probably going to be, even though he's mostly a forward, is probably going to be on that short list of best 2-rods for sure.
Boy, just extraordinary. The pull, and then, of course, was it a push kick that he does too?
Yeah. And then, of course, again, we are kind of overlooking, obviously, Tony Spredeman, but Erik Hueltner as well.
Yes.
Who won that title and did it in impressive fashion. And again, Hueltner, always a guy. The thing about Erik Hueltner is he's just a good teammate. He's going to do what needs to be done back there defensively and when need be offensively as well.
Rock solid player. Rock solid.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to talking to Erik. But before we get to that, we have a really interesting top 5 tonight. I think this is one of the most interesting ones we've done in quite a while. And this one, I have to credit Adam. Adam, again, you've really just you've outdone yourself with this one. It's the top 5 movies to draw inspiration from to play your best game. Would I be correct?
Yeah, well,
in that?
to play your best game, and also for foosball in general.
Yeah,
and it's not just related to playing your game, right? It's the entire experience. At least that's where I'm going with my 5, because movies are how we communicate with each other, right? You talk to somebody about movies. What is it that we draw from that? That's our cultural narrative, right? And there's sports movies, of course, that are good too. But I mean, just movies in general and things that you take from them to be maybe a better, happier person. Because foosball tournaments are foosball tournaments, right? It's not just playing the match. You're managing your entire body and self throughout a 4 or 5, 6, 7 day event that you're probably losing your ass on going to, right?
Right.
So, so this top 5 thing to get inspiration from for your, not just winning a match, but just your foosball experience in general.
You know, I'm sorry, guys. I thought it was Pornhub titles, and I don't think I should say those out loud because they're really odd to say out loud. So I'm going to back out of this.
You've got your list? You got your list from the Pornhub?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't put gas on the fire, Tom.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. So this is the top 5 movies to draw inspiration for your foosball game. On the way. Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
Nothing gets me more pumped up than hearing this list get started, man. Love it. Okay, so these are going to be so wildly different, Jim. I think these are all going to be so different from each other, and they should be, because what gives us inspiration is so different from person to person. And what gave me inspiration when I first started playing, obviously, was my dad. But the person that got me into playing tournament style foosball was Jack Graham, my friend and mentor. And the movie that when he was staying with us and started training me back in the late 90s, that we would watch over and over again is Armageddon. And I didn't know why. Armageddon, of course, with Bruce Willis. They go and they fight a comet. It's ridiculous. It's a monumentally ridiculous movie, but it's campy and things blow up, which is fine with me. But there's a scene in there. There's a scene in there where Bruce Willis knows that he's gonna die. Like, he's just, sorry, spoiler alert. He knows he's done, and he calls his daughter to talk to her about it. Saying goodbye basically on this asteroid or comet, and there's something to me that really spoke to me, like teenage me, that never had been married, never had a child, never had any kind of life experiences, that could still intuitively understand that you care about something so much, or you love something so much, that you're willing to sacrifice your time for it, your energy for it. That sounds melodramatic. Going to a foosball tournament's not that necessarily, right? But the thing that I got from watching that movie, especially because it was tied to my buddy Jack, was that if you're going to go to these tournaments, you're going to take the time to do it and spend the money to do it. Pour yourself into it and do it with a passion and give a crap, right? Care. We have to care. So for me, my number 5 is Armageddon, and teaching me the inspiration to just care when I'm there at these tournaments.
Ooh.
Interesting. So Armageddon taught you to care at foosball tournaments. That's probably that Steven Tyler.
Don't laugh, Jim. This is
Aerosmith
an open. We're open to each other right now. We're vulnerable.
I'm trying to find the
Crying out loud.
connection. I'm trying to find the connection, but I guess I'm there. And they were worried about saving the world, right? Which is kind of a big deal. And thank God they did, or we wouldn't be here today.
It was a real movie.
My number 5, it was a real movie, and all I can hear right now is Steven Tyler. It's wailing away. My number 5.
That's true.
Is a movie actually from last year that I watched with my family, and that I found inspirational, and I think a lot of players will, and it kind of is indicative of where we are these days in foosball. And it's King Richard. It's the movie that Will Smith won the Best Actor award for just a few minutes after slapping around Chris Rock. But the movie itself, it's about Venus and Serena Williams. Two of the top 5 greatest lady tennis players of all time. And it's about second generation, right? So we can think of the Roos, right? We think of this family, this foosball family. This was a tennis family. Dad, Richard Williams, found a sport that he thought that the girls would love and would be able to make money at and have a career at. And obviously they have. And it's inspirational to see the way, and it wasn't always perfect, the way that he raised his daughters, but the way that they became champions, the process, the second generation, these young kids training from the time they're 5-6 years old to become the best. We can throw Tiger Woods into that mix as well with his father. They were groomed early on to be great players. Now, of course, it's important that they love to play, right? They have to enjoy playing. You don't want the parents to force them into it. And we look at Terry and Keisha Rue, who are such great parents, right? And really offer the opportunities to their daughters to play foosball. They loved it. And look where certainly Sully is now. But for me, I couldn't help, as watching this, thinking about not only my kids, but also the kids of foosball players and starting a sport at that age and what that means, right? In order to be great, in order to be elite, top of the class, you have to start at 4 or 5 years old. It's just the proof is in the pudding. Every great, superior, all-time great athlete started when they were a small kid. And to watch the Williams sisters and their early development and the way that Richard Williams handled most of it well was inspirational to me. So my number 5, King Richard.
Hey Tom, let me take 10 seconds to do my number 5.
I was gonna wait for you. Absolutely.
The movie came out in 1990. Okay, the year I won the 1990 Amateur Doubles World Championship.
I've heard
and
that.
of course, is probably the greatest movie ever written, directed, and scripted. It's Rocky 5. And Rocky is retired, and he takes on a young protege. It's Tommy Morrison, and And Rocky's past his prime and develops this kid, and this kid turns on him. He beats the living hell out of him.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, he beats the hell out of him in the street. And when I think about that movie, I just think about how I beat the hell out of our opponents from Oklahoma in 1990.
Very much like that.
Anyway, that's my number 5 is Rocky 5. Thank you.
Yeah, Tommy Morrison, by the way, was John Wayne's grandson. Just to throw a little bit in there.
Really?
That's why. Yeah.
Wow. No, there's something I never would have known until now. But thank you for that.
If you ever get on Jeopardy, Jim, you will have at least 30 foozers watching you day and night, my friend.
What is Jeopardy?
Yes.
What?
Thank you.
Can we go on? Can we move on here?
Yeah.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
Okay. Number 4, real quick. You see it there in Twitch. I'm auctioning off my number 2 for a drink at the tournament to be named later. If you have a good movie and a good reason why, give it to me. I'll use your 2 as my 2 and then get a drink. Number 4 for me. you know how I roll. Number 4 for me, and I'm sorry, my list is going to be just so wildly different. I just know what it is because I just look at things so differently. The first 3 years that I went to foosball tournaments, from 99 to 2002 or 3, I was like this at tournaments. Like I didn't think about anything. I didn't do anything. I was just anything non-foosball related. I was just there to play. And it wasn't until around 2003-ish, after I saw a movie, that I started kind of expanding out, maybe making friends. And of course, the friends that I made, the more I hung out with them, Dan Tyval, the worse I got at foosball. But that's neither here nor there. I started really enjoying foosball more. In general, and for me that was greatly increased my foosball experience. And the movie, of course, that I'm talking about is that great early 2000s rom-com Love Actually, where it follows about the lives of 30 different people in UK with some very memorable, funny lines. Just a silly, stupid movie, right? But really looking at how you can create friends and make friends and just have human interactions in a way, in a new space. Because up until that point, when I first started playing, I was a teenager, right? All I had was high school. And this was the first place that I started making friends at. And I still have friends today from that time period. So for me, my number 4, inspiration in the sense that it's about the friends you make along the way, it's going to be Love Actually.
I just can't respect you anymore.
How do we do that?
I'm shaking my head. No, I actually like that movie. Was Hugh Grant in there? I think he was.
Yeah.
But the thing about that movie is it kind of builds, right? You see all these different scenarios that kind of eventually sort of intersect. And by the end of the movie, you feel really good, don't you?
Yep.
Obviously you did.
Yep.
My number 4 is a production from 1982. It was about a couple of kids from a soccer team, who unfortunately were not able to move forward in their soccer career. So they decided to try out foosball, of all things. And they hit the tour, went out on tour, and they would call themselves the New Huevos, which meant new eggs, back in the New Wave era. And it's a movie that starred the great Leif Garrett and a few others. Oingo Boingo, the great band, was actually in that movie as well.
Oingo Boingo,
yeah. There's players like that foosball player Jim Stevens is actually in there with Johnny Lott, Greg Perry, and Mike Bowers and Tim Zeke Burns are in there. This was a foosball movie about real underdogs who conquered their limitations and were able to go all the way to the national championship at Caesar's Palace in Lake Tahoe, which was actually the Palladium in Hollywood in 1981. But it's Long Shot. And how can we have a top 5 movie list without having Long Shot on it?
Wow.
For me, it was shot over, I don't know, a month or 2 in Southern California. All of us local players were invited to be part of it, either on screen or as stunt doubles, so to speak, as they showed Leif Garrett's upper body going like this, and then would show the table with us all ball handling. But it was an amazing experience. The tournament at the Palladium in Hollywood was a 3-day tournament that I actually ended up winning. And it was just a great experience. Johnny Lott, who was the stand-in for Leif Garrett, he had an aerial shot to win the tournament, to win the championship. And it was inspirational. The movie was terrible, but the foosball part of it was really good. The foosball part was fun. The filming of it was fun. Being involved with it was fun. It was inspirational for all of us in Southern California. This actually was recorded 3 months before the fall of the TS Tour in 1981.
Wow.
It was shot in the late spring, early summer of 1981 on tournament soccer tables, locally at studios and a couple of arcades. and then at the Palladium, the famous showcase in Hollywood. And then 3 months later, TS crashed. A year after that, the movie is released. And it was the greatest foosball drama of all time. The greatest foosball movie of all time, of course, is Foosballers. But the greatest fictional movie of all time about foosball was very inspirational for all of us. It was Long Shot. It was 1982, and that's my number 4.
The fact you can fit in Oingo Boingo into a top 5, I'm so impressed. So impressed.
That's cool.
Mark, what else can you fit in here?
I'll be brief. For mine, you got to go all the way back to 1985. We're talking about the height of the Cold War, which I'm not sure is true or not. And you're talking about two superpowers putting together what their symbols of their nationalism and going to battle. Of course, I'm talking about. My number 4 is, you don't know what's going to happen till the end. You don't know who's going to win. How do you know? It's Rocky 4. It's Rocky and Ivan Drago, and there's probably the second greatest movie ever made behind Rocky 5. And we just really have to wonder why that movie didn't sweep the Oscars that year. But hey, when I want to be inspired, I watch Rocky 5, then Rocky 4. Okay, thank you.
I've got an easy $50.
You sort of count down Rocky 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You count them down to you. Well done.
Oh well.
All on the plane. All on the 40-minute plane ride. Okay.
What a genius.
Thank God for fast forward.
Talk Live Top 5. Number 3.
I just got to point this out real quick, Jim. When you were talking about that, I don't know if you can see that at home. Oh, maybe this was from the filming of because my folks were there, and so you can see there's Leif Garrett's autograph there, and there was the directors up there, the writer, and I don't know who that is, but anyways,
might be me.
That's awesome. So when Dave Gumbison says he has everything, he does not have everything. He came on the show and
does not have that.
You don't have that.
That's one of a kind. That's a unicorn.
Yeah. So, anyways,
that's the Honus Wagner card.
That's Wagner. All right. So here's my number 3 because I'm an '80s kid, and this is it. Because the thing I'm learning here about what inspires me for foosball isn't actually playing foosball; it's just getting to the freaking tournament because it's so much work. Blah blah blah. So I'm also going to go back to the '80s and a very young Fred Savage, Bo Bridges, Christian Slater go out on a road trip. It's a road trip movie. To go and basically do
Tremors?
No, they're basically doing product placement for Nintendo, but that's not the point. They went to a video game tournament. That was The Wizard, 1989. I don't know if anybody can remember that. Oh gosh, it's such a dorky bad movie. It's terrible. But the whole adventure, them going out and doing that for a kid in the 80s, looking at by the time I was in the late 1990s, that was the go-to movie. That was like, hey, I'm going to go do that. Like what they did with video games and this whole foosball thing, whatever, let's go try it out. So Fred, if you're out there, thank you, buddy. That's my number 3, The Wizard.
Yeah, that movie is actually based on a true story about a deaf, dumb, and blind kid. But anyway.
Wow. An Elton John reference, folks.
No,
actually, that is the Who, my friend.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Confused.
Oh no, gosh! No, I said that in front of you too. I'm never.
Now, in the later movie, yes, it was Elton John, but you cannot. You have to give credit to him.
You lost my friendship at Love Actually, so it doesn't. None of this.
I don't care what any of you people think because you all have trash taste. But go ahead.
There's so many movies that we could put on this list. I mean, there's boxing movies like Cinderella Man. What a great movie! Coming from behind. Seabiscuit. How about that? Horse racing. Another good one. The greatest poker movie ever made. Rounders with Matt Damon and Edward Norton. Right. But for me, my number 3 is a movie that I can't help but be inspired by. It's 1997's Boogie Nights. One of the great movies of all time. Dirk Diggler.
You're a star.
Man.
Big, bright, shining star. I love that.
Dirk Diggler.
I say it every morning.
Born
baby.
and raised in Lomita, California, small town. Somehow he was discovered, and suddenly starts working hard on his craft. And it's a difficult craft. It's harder and harder all the time. But he keeps growing as a performer. And growing
unintended
into a great performer to where he becomes the man. It's sort of very much like the Tony Spredeman story or others. And the other thing we can't forget about is that Burt Reynolds is in that movie, right? And it is the greatest Burt Reynolds movie ever made. But it's inspirational to me in that
You see this
Gilson
guy
was
from a
Adam
small
Gilson was
town,
played
right?
by Philip Seymour Hoffman's character was played by Adam's character was played by
It's got a
Philip Seymour
great
Hoffman.
What's wrong with Smokey
John
and the
C.
Bandit?
Riley. What a great cast, right? It's just
Yeah.
inspirational in that to see these guys. And again, it's a movie that builds and builds and builds. You see Dirk Diggler going through what he goes through to where finally he is at the top of his game. He is the star. He is the man. And then trying to stay on top, of course, is always very difficult. So for me,
God,
for some reason, number 3 is Boogie Nights.
wow. I've just lost all perspective on Jim Stevens.
I think I got back all my cred for Love Actually because I don't even understand.
No,
No, I
you
did.
not.
Have you
Anyway,
seen the movie? Mark, am I not your hero? Am I not
You,
your
you are
hero?
new. You are now my new hero.
Thank you, buddy.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Be careful who idolizes you.
I guess
This will give you-
we have to have Mark's choice here.
I'm doing my last one because you guys know how this is going to go. But as a minority, ethnic pride.
And I'm sorry
and,
about that too, buddy. Really.
Ethnic pride, 1982, and I'm from a very diverse area, and so Clubber Lang, right? He comes out. You're like, who's going to win this fight? And Clubber Lang knocks Rocky the F out. You're like, hell yeah, dude, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it's a win. It's a
You were,
winning moment.
let me get this straight. You're rooting for Clubber in this
Hell
one
yeah!
because you're a minority.
And after Clubber Lang knocks his ass out, I turn the movie off. I don't know what happens next. I just know Clubber Lang wins the championship.
Yeah.
So I watched that movie when I want to prepare for tournaments because, I'm the underdog. And so, hey, there we go. Rocky 3 is my number 3.
That's great.
Wow.
Stuff.
Third
That's
greatest
really
movie ever made.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, with that,
Foos Talk Live Top 5. Number 2.
No offense. I mean, Boogie Nights was a good movie about coming and
Great
going.
movie.
So one of
You
the
had to do
things,
that.
my number 2, nobody here has said a good one in the Twitch channel. I guess there's one that was really, okay. This one's legit. I can see that. So who said it? Which one of you said the movie Unbroken?
Wait.
This is good.
Unbroken.
Broken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
a good one.
2014 film. Yeah, it's I
Read
had
the
to look
book.
it up because So there's a book by Lauren Hillenbrand, but it's based on the Army officer Louis Zamperini.
Zamperini. Yep.
And this he was it was amazing. I mean, he survived a lot, and he kept. But the movie itself, though, was really good because it kept showing the struggles that he had, and he kept going. So I'm assuming because I didn't get much of an answer. Who said that? Oh yeah, Klepto Killa Gaming. That was their and their reason for that. Unbroken was for never giving up and never giving up. Of course, if I was going to go with that angle, I would have picked Galaxy Quest. Never give up, never surrender. But there's my number 2, Klepto. I hope you're buying me whatever you're buying me. Next time I see you.
Louis, let me give you some background. Louis Zamperini was actually a USC track star in the 20s and 30s. This was a guy. He was was in the Olympics in Berlin in 1936 as a runner, and then decided to join the Army and go to World War II. Was shot down. Spent 2 years in a POW camp. Somehow survived. Got down to about 75 pounds and ended up living. I actually had a chance to meet him or be at an event that he was at in Torrance, California, 15, 20 years ago. Just a great individual, a great, great man who somehow survived everything when he shouldn't have in order to. And I think that really does apply to foosball, especially foosball tournaments. It is a matter of survival sometimes. You get in there and you just, even when you're tired, when you're hungry, you get out there and you push and you push and you push. So I think that's a great one, Adam. As we start to get a little more serious here. For me, and Mark's kind of touched on it. Thank you, Mark, for leaving Rocky 1 available to us. Actually, the only Rocky movie. This movie, 1976. It was written by Sly Stallone. He was a nobody before this. This is kind of his story as an actor, breaking through out of Philadelphia. It was he starred in it, of course. It's the ultimate rags to glory story, coming from nowhere, overcoming so many different setbacks. And again, all of us as foosball players, no matter what we're playing, because of the length of these events, you have to be able to push through and overcome a lot. And of course, we're doing it on a micro sort of approach, just a weekend tournament or whatever. But certainly there are players as well who have had to overcome a lot, right? Players who have overcome injuries, players who have overcome physical. I mean, Chris Doobie would never tell you that his being a little person was something that was a hindrance to him. It was a strength to him, and he has proven that throughout his life. And so, for me, it is about persevering. It's about being able to push through and be able to overcome obstacles. And there really has never been a better movie than Rocky 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, or 10, but number 1 for that. And for all of us who saw that movie back in 1976 when we were young children, the way we felt about it, we hadn't really been able, that was the ultimate feeling at the end of that movie. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is awesome. I feel like I could conquer the world. And we all kind of felt that way, thanks to Sly Stallone and Rocky, my number 2.
So what is Mark going to do now?
My number 2 is the first 9 Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yes.
So they used to have a little theater called the Jose Theater in San Jose. You paid $1.
Damn dirty
And one
ape.
day they decided to play all the damn Planet of the Apes films. So we got there like 10 a.m. And like you think you could do this, right? You're with like 5 of your kid buddies in the summer. And by like 6 hours in, we were losing our damn minds. Our eyes were bleeding. We were eating chocolate and popcorn for like hours. We couldn't even do it.
Raisinets. I love Raisinets.
The best.
No one should watch whatever the hell it is, 9 Planet of the Apes.
All of them.
Did you notice too, as each movie went by, did you notice the makeup got worse? It's like in the beginning you're like, whoa, they look totally like gorillas and orangutans. By the end of it, you're like, those are Halloween masks.
Like, and you could tell even back then that Charlton Heston was a real bigot. You're like, holy crap, this kid really hates.
God damn.
You damn dirty apes. That came from the soul.
His
Anyway,
best acting job ever. Now we know why.
9 Planet of the Apes films, my number 2. I get fired up when I watch 4 of those movies.
I was hoping somebody would do that. Planet of the Apes number 1, the best. All right.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
Okay, so there's 2 scenes from this movie that are, I think, not only generation defining, but were very, very important for the whole, the whole metaphysical, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. When we talk, Jim, we talk about stuff like be here now and being in the moment. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can present that to somebody and talk to somebody about that, right? Because what we're ultimately talking about when we're talking about how to perform and be good on the table in a match is to be here now, to get out of your way, right? And there's 2 scenes in this movie that really exemplified that for me. The first scene was when the character is looking down this hallway at an adversary, and all of a sudden everything changes to these green bits and lines of code rolling down because they start seeing beyond the farce that we all see and seeing what the actual reality is. But earlier in the movie, this same character is talking to another character that's teaching younger kids how to be here now. And the phrase that he used was, there is no spoon. And that sounds so stupid out of context. But in the movie The Matrix, it makes so much sense, because what you're really looking and learning in that is to pull back the curtain of our own preconceived notions and just be here now and get out of your own way. And that's what happens throughout that. That's really what that Matrix, among many things, that's the hero's journey in there, is just being here now. And for me, my number 1 is always going to be The Matrix, because that's a movie that I drew the most inspiration from, to play foosball, and to play foosball in a way that wasn't contrived, but was in the present.
The blue pill or the red pill?
We're not going to get into that.
Your number 1 is The Matrix. I love that. And the fact that you pulled the whole be here now thing from The Matrix is awesome, because you're right, Adam. That is pretty much the most important thing any of you can do, is to be in the moment. Don't worry about what could happen, what did happen. Just be here now, trust, and it'll work out as it should. I'm going to be a little more traditional, and my number 1 most inspirational movie for foosball and for really any sport is the greatest sports movie ever made. And that is the movie Hoosiers. This, if you haven't seen it, and maybe, if Hopefully you're a basketball fan. Hopefully you're a history fan. This is a true story from the 1950s, Hickory High School in Indiana. At the time, Indiana was the strongest basketball structure in the world, in the United States, certainly. Indiana, if you were Mr. Basketball as a high school player in Indiana, you were going to Duke, you were going to UCLA, you were going to a great college. Indiana basketball was kind of like the way Texas high school football is now. It is bigger than many colleges and bigger than maybe some pro markets as well. But in Hoosiers, produced and directed in 1986. I'm trying to remember the director's name. It'll come to me. But it's about a youngster named Jimmy Chitwood, who was a shooter. His father, played by Dennis Hopper, was a shooter who just decided to become a drunk, or became one. Never made it. But he wanted his son too, and his son eventually did. A small high school in Indiana, who it would come together as a team. And Adam, you mentioned how important being in the moment is, being here now is. It's also important to be able to work together as a team. And of course, Erik Hueltner, who is with us tonight, is the epitome of that these days. But it's about a team. Gene Hackman, the great Gene Hackman, who is still alive at the age of 166 now. One of the great actors of all time, is the coach of that team. The way the movie is shot makes you feel like you're in 1954 in Indiana. It's big shot after big shot. The way they do it is phenomenal. The way they come through against obstacles that are seemingly bigger than them, against teams that are better than them, is remarkable. If you haven't seen the movie Hoosiers, you will be inspired by it. You will just feel good when it's over, and you will approach your foosball game perhaps in a little bit a different way. So for me, number one, the greatest sports movie I think ever made is 1986's Hoosiers.
Pardon me if I mention a glaring omission here. I think the greatest sports movie, and what I relate to most, is Bad News Bears.
Good one.
Well, you haven't seen the Mighty Ducks, bro. The Flying V. And there's also the one with Will Ferrell, the ice skating one, where if he misses that jump, he chops the dude's head off.
Oh,
you don't know what a sports movie is.
Bad News Bears.
Anyways,
Walter
just to put it in perspective.
Come on.
No, so because I specifically said it was any movie, right, for this list, but I think we also have to do, because this is a very emotionally charged list. We got to do a top 5 sports movies. You guys haven't done that yet, right?
No, we have not. No, not
top
yet.
5 sports movies, because sports movies, that's a whole nother level.
Right.
And I got a list.
Is that a foosball show? Is that good for a foosball podcast?
I think so. Okay. Sports movies for foosball.
How do you even talk sports movies without talking about The Sandlot, the greatest sports movie of all time?
Yeah. Well,
and Clay's got a point.
Yeah,
Clay's got a point.
Clay as always comes in and levels the field, basically.
It was under consideration, certainly Clay, but for me, Hoosiers was just a cut above.
Wow.
Forever.
Forever.
Go ahead, Tom. Take control.
Midnight Cowboy? I don't know.
Midnight Cowboy.
Sorry.
Urban Cowboy? What's up? That's a sports movie.
Hold on. Everybody's talking at me.
Gear. Riding the Bronco.
Nothing quite like,
boom.
I'm sorry. Dustin Hoffman, Ratso Rizzo. I
think Ratso Rizzo was absolutely a goalie. Don't you think so? That guy is not playing forward for me. I'll put it that way. Rizzo's in the back.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing goalie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's not a big pull shooter. He's not going to score a lot for you.
Right.
But he might, kind of weasel his way inside the opponent's head and kind of get a block or two.
So, hey, what was this great soccer movie from the 80s that actually has Sylvester Stallone and Pele in it? That
Based
was
on a
good
true
one.
story.
It's called
Unbeaten, Undefeated, something like that.
There's also The Hustler, Color of Money. We missed some good ones.
Those are sports movies, though. We're not talking sports.
We aren't?
Sorry.
No, I said specifically. That's why I have Love Actually.
Two greatest foosball movies of all time. Number one, Foosballers.
Yep.
Number 2, Dazed and Confused. Number 3,
movie?
Long Shot. Dazed and Confused, great movie. I think Richard Linklater, the great director down in Austin, and some of our guys down in Austin actually did a foosball scene in the movie where it's actually real, good, solid foosball play in this movie.
Cool.
Dazed and Confused. Check it out.
Wow.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Guys,
really good movie. Really good movie.
I mean, this could go on for days. No question.
That's what I'm saying.
It actually is.
How about this? We set a date for the near future for a foosball inspirational movie film festival, right? We'll spend an entire weekend just watching inspiring,
and that brings
films.
Friends into it, doesn't it? Friends, and I actually delivered that table to the Friends set.
Ooh,
That was me.
You delivered the wait.
Trivia.
Hold on. You just let go of something. You did what? You delivered the table to the
I
friend's
delivered
set?
that tornado table. They went from
Get out.
some other kind of table to a tornado table, and I worked for a place in Southern California called Star Service. They called us up, said we need a table, and I was the one who delivered it onto the soundstage.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Super cool.
True story.
So
Yeah.
Jim Stevens, a big part of television history, you delivered that table to friends. Wow.
Yeah. And then later we delivered another one because they needed to saw the legs off of it for an episode.
Wow.
Anyway,
Why? Why would they
check it out. If you're Friends fans, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. I got to go back and watch now because, yeah, I guess I missed it the first time.
Jennifer Aniston in person was amazing.
Here we go.
It is getting creepy.
Did you just do a chef's kiss? I wasn't watching the video.
He did.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. She was just really sweet. Very, very nice
You
woman.
know who's sweet? Erik Hueltner. He's sweet.
Yeah,
very sweet.
Well, I think it's time that Erik
nice segue, Adam. Well done.
Get his
So I
You're
get
becoming
learning.
such a professional.
It's
Yes.
been so
Take over,
long
Tom.
since we had a chance to talk to Erik because we've been after him for a while, and he just keeps turning us down because we're amateurs. So Erik, thank you so much for coming on to FoosTalk Live tonight. Who talked you into this, by the way?
Who talked me into this?
Yeah.
No, I was listening last week and I'd messaged Mark and I said, if you guys ever want me on, I'll come on. So here I am.
Wow.
I said in a heartbeat, dude. In a
Yes.
heartbeat. Good having you.
No, this is huge. We're so appreciative of you taking some time out to talk to us. And you're in Florida this evening. What's happening? What's the weather like?
Not so bad now. Pretty warm during the days, but
right.
We're starting to get into our rainy season, so it's messing up my fishing and being outside.
So you like to fish?
Yeah, just about every day. I'm on a canal on a lake here, so I'm in the backyard fishing just about every day.
Nice. That's awesome. So now the love of fishing, and of course, how many years have you been in Florida, by the way?
Moved down here in 2011.
Okay. Gotcha. Was it have something to do with the scene there when it comes to foosball?
No, me and Tony were actually in Chicago playing a tournament and kind of got caught in a blizzard. And he was like, "Yeah, I've had enough of this. You want to move to Florida?" And I said, "Yeah."
Done.
And after a multiple-hour drive home, he was looking at places, and 6 months later, we moved down here.
Wow, very cool. So, Erik, there's a tradition here on FoosTalk Live. We got to get your origins here. So, what was the first time you saw a foosball table? What kind was it, and how old were you?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. I played. I really started playing in a bar. I mean, not going there to play foosball, going there to go to a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And there just happened to be a lot of people that played, and it would be quarters on the side of the table, and you're waiting if you lose for an hour or more to play.
Yep.
And they had so many people that they ended up getting another table, and basically it was the same thing even with two tables there. But one of our guys played some of the local Wisconsin tournaments and told some of the Milwaukee guys that we had a ton of people that played out there because I lived about 35, 40 minutes north of Milwaukee. One night, a bunch of guys came out and they brought Tony with them. And I think he was underage at the time. I don't know if he was actually 21 or not yet, but it was in between when he won his first title and in singles and his second. So late 2000s, mid late 2000s. And none of us really knew what was going on. And they're, oh, this guy's the best in the world. And we're all just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure he is,
Not here, he's not. So
yeah, and he still was. Yeah, he still was. But
now that was the first time you actually got a chance to play competitively. Is that around the time?
My first, I started playing. The Milwaukee guys kind of started shining around a little bit more, and they talked me into coming and playing their leagues in Milwaukee. So I started doing that, and my first actual real tournament, as far as a tour tournament that I went to, was in 2008. So,
oh wow, that recently.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I mean, I was 20, I don't know, 7 before I ever played a real tournament.
No kidding. Wow, that's another
Yeah,
so unusual.
I remember meeting you, very late 2000s. Tony introduced you as a great young player, the next big thing, because I think you were starting to win some events regionally and out on tour. And at that time you were a forward and a goalie, right?
Yeah.
And Tony was saying this is this, and when Tony speaks, you listen, right? And Tony said, this is the guy. This guy's really going to be a great player. And so we had a chance to meet you then. But talk about your early relationship with Tony. Obviously, both of you from Wisconsin. You come into this bar, as you said, and there's maybe an underage Tony, the quote unquote best player in the world. But he kind of took you under his wing a little bit, didn't he, early on?
Well, we started. So me and one of my buddies, we started. Remember when they had the Corona did the elimination tournament
Mm-hmm.
where you're playing bottles against limes or whatever?
In
So,
Las Vegas, yeah.
so in Wisconsin, they had a couple of these tournaments going on, and they were kind of satellite tournaments. And if you won one, you could go play the big one at the end, and it was for $1,000. And the year before, me and my buddy won kind of a bar Olympics kind of thing that was somewhat similar, where it was foosball, darts, and pool, and we ended up winning that. So we're like, all right, well, let's try to win this one. So we went and we played one, and we got smoked because it was just, I mean, it's not real foosball, and at the same time, you're timed, and it was just as many points as you could score in a certain amount of time, and we're trying to play somewhat structured, and it wasn't happening. But so we wanted to keep playing these. So we end up going. We're at an ice cream shop before one of these tournaments, and we run into Tony and Emilio in this ice cream shop, and they're like, and I know him enough from starting to play the Milwaukee leagues and stuff that he knows I'm a foosball player, and he's like, well, what are you guys doing here? Because he knows I live 40 minutes away or more from where we were. And we're like, oh, nothing. What are you doing here? Oh, nothing. And then 10 minutes later, we're both at the same tournament playing the Corona elimination against each other. And we played them in the final. And we started going to more of these because we wanted to get good at it so we could have a chance at the $1,000. And me and Tony just kind of started talking because they were doing the same thing. So we had somewhat similar interests and both kind of have the same, I don't know, I guess you could say personality. So we kind of clicked. And I became friends with him and friends with Jeff, who Tony used to live with, from playing the Milwaukee leagues. And I ended up living down the street from him, and I was basically just at his house every day from kind of then on. Tony would come home from work, and I'd be hanging out in his fridge on his couch.
That's funny. That's great.
In his fridge.
That's awesome. Erik, I'm curious, when you were have you played anything else like foosball before? Like, I know you were talking about the darts and things. Like, was this something that you would always had been since a kid, like doing things like this, or is this something that you just kind of got into when you were a young man?
As far as foosball, no. I mean, when I was younger, I skateboarded a lot, and then I'll latch on to hobbies or whatever. When I was in my early 20s and stuff like that, it was golf. I was golfing 2 leagues a week, and as much as I could and stuff like that. And then that kind of all got replaced by foosball as I got in my later 20s.
I got a question for you, man. First of all, I've never talked foosball with you, Erik, and you probably heard a lot of my nonsense on Inside Foods, but I really like your game. I'm not sure if you've ever heard me say that on an Inside Food broadcast. I love that style of play. It's the game I probably always wanted as a goalie. And what I mean by that is you make the block, you keep the ball in your area, you look for the smart clear. You're never trying to shoot over the middle or take a risk unless you need to. And then when you need a point, you got a point. And it's really reminds me of like a solid 90s style of play. Not that it's that, but it reminds me of that. So I guess one of my questions is, what are your inspiration? Who inspired your game? Where did you draw from? And kind of what's the theory behind it? I guess are my questions.
I don't really know if I actually drew from anybody. I've watched. I mean, I watch an absolute ton of video, or I don't so much anymore, but I mean, I did for years and years, watched a lot of Foos video. But for the most part, I mean, it's statistically so rare that a goalie is going to score enough to just win matches out of the back that you have to feed your forward. Your forward's the one who's going to win it for you. No matter how good you're playing in the back. I mean, there's the rarity to that, but it's a team effort, and your guy up front's got a lot better chance of scoring and winning it for you. And even when I first started playing, I mean, I played the pro-ams and stuff like that with Tony, and it was basically clear it, bounce it off their 5, and let me fight. Because I was a beginner playing with, you had to play with a master, or whatever. A master could only play with a beginner in the pro-am stuff. So I think a lot of that actually kind of helped me being such a lesser player, playing with somebody so good that I learned pretty quickly, just get it to the dude who's good, and as I advanced and got better, it's okay. Yeah, you pick your shots and stuff like that, but keep it away from the opposing 3 and try to get it to my guy. That's kind of the basics of it, but you got to have the fundamentals in there too, keeping stuff in your zone, trying to keep the trash out, stuff like that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, that's what, as observers, as commentators, guys who have watched you play many times, what we see is a guy, whether you're playing with Dylan Marshall, whether you're playing with Tommy Yore, whether you're playing with Tony Spredeman, you fit yourself into the needs of the team based on who you're playing with, right? Which is a great skill to have. Goalies out there, take note of that. It's huge, right? Obviously, you're going to do the basics. You're going to block the slot. You're going to clear the zone. All the basics that need to be done. You're going to score the occasional point. You're going to keep the slop out. But much of it is about fitting in with your partner. Obviously, Tony Spredeman, who already gets the ball more than anybody, give him a few extra possessions with that clear down the middle or that feed along the far wall, near wall, whatever. And that's just going to increase your chances of winning. And you've always had, at least from the eyes of the booth, you've had a great feel for that, right? You understand that so well. And then suddenly you're going to hit this big shot when it's needed the most. And again, you're getting experience playing in the Tampa area. You're getting experience playing with these great forwards in major championships. You're continuing to grow as a player. So to take what we see of Erik Hueltner as a player and how we, analyze what you're doing, and tell us if we're right. Tell us if that is kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who I'm partnered with, it's you have to play a different role, and you have to, I guess, not have the ego to do that. Some people I'm playing with, I'm kind of the captain, and I'm playing with Tony, and I'm, he's the captain. But you have to be able to do that in both spots, kind of a thing, and you have to, I guess, know who you're playing with somewhat. Like I rarely will play with somebody who I don't really know or don't know how to go into a match knowing how I should play. When I played with Brandon last year in Colorado, I asked Tony beforehand. I go, am I trying to just be super aggressive and letting him pick up everything, or should I just keep feeding him the ball? Because Brandon's not quite as strong as some of those other guys playing just strictly forward. So that tournament, I was more aggressive as far as shooting. But other people, like when I'm playing with Dylan or Tony or Tom Yore or Tommy Jr., somebody like that, most of that is just trying to feed those guys the ball, But yeah, you got to have be able to play the different roles depending on who your partner is, and even depending on who you're playing against. If you see something obvious, you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, kind of a thing between you and your partner.
That brings up a question. Actually, I think that ties into a question we have on Twitch from Leap and Lou. When we're talking about defense and how you play with your partner, this person, Leapin, is asking, do you have any tips on how to improve your goalie game if you don't have a lot of competition against real people? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, that kind of thing, you can watch video and video and video, but you're really only going to see the best players for the most part, and how they shoot, maybe some tendencies they have and stuff like that. But when you go from the video to the table and you're a newer player, you're not going to have that kind of time to screw around when you start playing against somebody exceptional. A lot of things, I mean, they got the little tools, the little rubber ball boards and stuff like that. That can help with getting quicker reflex as far as keeping stuff out, stuff like that. But yeah, it's you kind of in order to advance, you have to have competition, and not only competition, you have to have competition that's better than you.
Mm.
Hey Eric, I got a question for you, and it could be anything. Open slate, man. What's your worst foosball memory, and what's your best foosball memory?
That's a tough one. Worst might have been going out of Worlds last year because we were playing exceptionally well and we got completely wiped out by Tommy and Brandon.
And who'd you play with?
Me and Dylan.
You and Dylan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I may have scared Dylan going into it, telling him before we even started. I said we got 3 more to win, and I think I scared.
Was that the match where Dylan just kind of like just imploded on his 3-bar, like he didn't score until? Like,
I mean, he didn't implode. It was just, I mean, Brandon was putting up a good defense, and Tommy is junior's Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get his possessions, and sure, I'll get some blocks, but obviously, it's any match. You got to have pressure going the other way, and I mean, you can't take it away from Brandon. It's not like Dylan was just mis-executing everything. Brandon just blocked well, exceptionally well.
I remember that specifically. I was watching that match and the match after. It seemed like Brandon was just on fire when you guys were playing him, but then he went up against Ryan Moore and Blake, and all of a sudden it was table turned. It was completely different. Brandon disappeared. So
yeah, sometimes it goes like that. I had one of those a couple of years ago. Me and Tom Yor in Colorado against Tony and Rob Mares, where we played him on the winner's side, and I blocked exceptionally well. And then on the loser's side, Tony shot probably about 90% or something like that. So it goes both ways.
Especially gets to that
best
level.
Memory. I don't know. I feel like if I said 21 Texas State, it'd kind of be too easy. I don't know. I got some pretty good ones back in the day. Me and Dylan getting to a final at Florida State in like 2016, something like that. That was pretty big. We beat a couple of pretty good teams to get there. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, you know what? I won semi-pro doubles at Wisconsin State in like 2000, I think 7 or 8. And I think that was the first somewhat real title that I ever actually won. Or that was a pretty good one.
Do you remember who it was with?
Yeah, my buddy Lance Keeley. He doesn't really play. Well, he still plays, for fun in the Milwaukee area, but he doesn't really ever touch the tour. I think his last tour event was Vegas in like 2009, and that was too much foosball for him when he was in Vegas.
When people get asked that question, you'd be stunned at the answers. They're the most obscure. Like you ask Tommy Atkinson, he'll tell you, I was 15 and I won expert singles and expert doubles in Texas at some. He'll name some $10,000 tournament. That guy's won whatever 5 world titles, and if you ask Fred, he'd probably say, yeah, I was 16. So that answer doesn't really have a, it's not necessarily connected to a big championship. It's usually
right.
There's no right answer.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Good.
One of the most interesting things about foosball, right, is the people that we have in foosball. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have people of every sort of job and career, and who also play foosball. Some, of course, are foosball players, but many of us are doing something else. You are a writer of novels. This is what you do, folks. If you haven't heard of him, please go to Amazon and search E.H. Reinhardt. And Eric, talk a little bit, and a lot of people don't know this, but you are a writer of police procedurals, of crime fiction. Talk a little bit about the process of that, of how you got involved with that. And it's something that a lot of people don't know, and go and get those books at Amazon. They are available now.
So
E.H.
cool.
Reinhardt. Talk a little bit about that, Eric.
I better get a big spike in sales from this.
at least the goal, man.
At least
You're gonna
2.
get me.
Oh yeah,
at least
That's
2.
the goal.
No, I kind of started doing it really somewhat out of nowhere. I was when Tony and I had moved, Tony, Lindsay, and I, when we'd moved down to Florida, I was still going back to Wisconsin quite a bit. My mom was still up there, dad up there. I was doing web design stuff, and I was flying fairly often, and I was reading quite a bit while I was flying, and kind of had a thought arrogantly that, I could probably do this. I could write a book, and I had researched enough to realize that, if you're decent at it, there's pretty good money in it. So I took a swing. I wrote a book, and I submitted it to an editing house, and I paid a little extra to get the editors, feedback on it. And she'd called me up and basically said, "This is trash. This is awful. You can't sell this. And your main character is unlikable and whatever." And the main character was kind of me, so I was a little upset about it, whatever. But she gave me a lot of good feedback, and it took a little bit. And I took the feedback to heart, and I wrote 3 more books and put them out there, and they actually sold pretty good. So I took those 3 books, I sent them back to that same editing house, and I don't know, 40 books later or whatever, I got out now. That's the same editing house I use to this
40?
day.
You've got 40?
I got what is it? I think I got 30 some under one pen name. I got another handful under another pen name, and I got another one that's done and ready to go out. But I think the total number when you add everything up is in the high 30s, and I got another one, like I said, and waiting to go.
Man,
so
so when are you exercising your option with Netflix to produce the series? I mean, what's going on?
Honestly, I've never really sniffed around much into that. When I first started, I had a guy trying to buy the rights. He was a legit guy from the History Channel, and he wanted to try to make a 7-part series out of one of my books. And
cool.
We talked a little bit about him buying the rights, and after about a year of the guy, he'd message me every now and again, and he just kind of somewhat faded off. But I've never tried to really shop anything that way. I'm pretty content in as far as what I do and kind of what the income provides and whatever else, and the lifestyle that I live. I mean, I have editing dates that I have to hit. I usually book out about a year in advance, so I kind of know my schedule, and I kind of schedule my tournaments in. So I still write fairly aggressively, but if I was really, pressed, I could probably put out, I don't know, 8-9 books a year without too much trouble. But
wow,
6 books in foosball tournaments is usually about my
that's prolific.
Eric, I've been writing a book now since 2015, and I just can't finish it. So kudos to you and your prolificness, Nick. That's probably why I can't write. Yeah,
proclivity.
So I'm just curious, like if I were to read a line from one of your books to you, would you know the next line? I mean, you write so much, though. Like, I can't imagine that all sticking.
Not even close. I'll have to go back, look through some of my books, and I'll be reading, like full paragraphs. It's like I have no recollection of ever writing this. It's not bad, but I don't remember writing it.
Wow.
I love that. I love that though, because I mean, any kind of creative thing, like, I don't think Jim, Mark, or I, like, if we talked about what we were saying in the booth, I couldn't remember. That's just part of that creative process. Real quick follow up to this. Got a question from Twitch. What is a good starter book if you're new to this genre or your genre that you write in, Eric?
I've got I don't know. I'd probably just steer everybody to the first one, Malevolent. I run
Lieutenant Harrington, the Harrington series.
That's also a good one. Good place to start. Wrath would be a good place to start. I got I'll do promos every now and again where I'll have a book for free or something like that, and I do them fairly often. Most foosball people that I know a handful of them that do read quite a bit of my stuff. They message me. I just give it to them. I'd rather not my foosball friends be giving me their money. If I could just email it, them a copy, I'd rather do that if they want to check it out. But
so, Eric, I have to ask you the question because I'm a voice actor. Who has done the audio version of your books?
The audio, I got a deal with Tanter. So they have their own people that do it, and I sold the rights to some audio stuff some years back, and they have professional people that do it, but I wasn't super happy with kind of how they did it. So as soon as those rights come back to me, I'll probably kind of go back down that and actually shop around and find who I want to narrate it.
Okay.
And then maybe move forward that way, because I had a couple of characters that sounded like Foghorn Leghorn and stuff like that. Like, what is this? But when you
Tom and I could handle that for you if you need it.
well, there you go.
For sure.
Side work.
I'd be happy to steer you in the right direction. I've got connections in the industry. So
okay, all right, we'll talk.
Cool.
All right.
Wow.
But your people call my people. I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Erik, again, you and Tony, such a special relationship that you and Tony Spredeman have. It's very deep. You guys are great friends. You're both from Milwaukee, in that area. You moved to Florida together. You both love to fish, and I know, I got to spend a little time with you guys going out on the boat a few years ago, and it was just so much fun. And I could see the relationship that you guys have. Talk a little bit, on and off the foosball player table about your relationship with the great Tony Spredeman.
When we first started hanging out a lot, we didn't really play that much foosball. I mean, it was listen to music, we'd go golfing, we'd go fishing, we'd go do stuff like that, where it wasn't necessarily we're friends because of foosball kind of a thing. But it had a lot to do with, it's like, if you're Tony, how much do you want to play somebody who's a beginner? You're just going to kill them, and that's no fun really for anybody. So, but yeah, I mean, through the years, he's as much as a guy could, for the most part, be like a brother that you're not actually related to. That's pretty much it. When we are messing with people and whatever else, I mean, we could play Pictionary and he could draw a line and I'm going to guess what it is, kind of a thing. We're on the same kind of wavelength with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's even now he's about an hour and 15, 20 minutes north of me. So we don't hang out as much, as we used to, obviously living together and whatever. But yeah, I mean, we'll still talk to each other just about every single day. So
Erik, I got a couple questions for you, man. So I had a strategy, right? The strategy was, well, first of all, the premise is that foosball is pretty broken. It's got issues and there's a lot of stuff that needs change, but everybody's really habitual. No one really wants to do stuff. And so the first step was identify a promotional group or a tournament organizer group that's going to take some risk. And I've been very fortunate, right? South Florida Foosball Club. And they'll be the first to raise their hands and say, okay, we're guinea pigs, but we love this. Let's do it. So, pilot a novice or an expert amateur tournament the whole goal is to make sure the integrity of it and then make a pro event. And also simultaneously introduce the Swiss system and bridge that. And so you and I have had some of this dialogue behind the scenes this whole time, right? Like, we want to do the pro one. That's kind of the goal here. And we think a higher stakes with the totally unique format sells. And then it's kind of like, okay, Steve Murray, you see what we did in Thunderdome. Are you ready to do this? And I'm in the behind the scenes with Steve, and Steve's like, you know what? I've played Swiss overseas. I think the public's willing to buy into it. So we do a hybrid type Swiss. And we always knew that the beginners, amateurs, experts would probably get the most out of it. The masters and pros, it's probably they're creatures of habit, maybe not. And so you played it, and you guys dominated. Frankly, you guys I don't know, man. I don't know what happened the last couple of rounds, but I don't, just not to say that you enjoyed it. And I'm looking for some honest feedback. And you don't need to paint it at all. If it needs to be fixed, it needs to be fixed. Whatever the weaknesses are, those are the weaknesses. But the question ends up being, you played the Swiss style of this hybrid format. What did you think? Where do the improvements need to be? What's your overall perspective of how we did it at Texas?
I don't think there was, as far as me personally, I didn't I didn't really mind it. I mean, the single elimination, double elimination. I mean, it's nice having the I guess security blanket of the losers bracket, but at the same time, I mean, I've been on the other side of that where I've won king seat and got double dip. So, okay, you know, like I could see that kind of thing. I talked to Dave Raddick before and after the tournament or whatever, and he messaged me yesterday asking kind of for some feedback, and we talked quite a bit or whatever as far as via text back and forth. As far as how it was ran, they needed, I mean, minimal things to, I just guess, kind of clarify some stuff. They need to have a big chart so everybody can see exactly where they're sitting in the brackets after the elimination stuff is over with. They need to have some kind of a system that, whether I know there was an issue with one of the matches where Brandon and Shannon had beat Trevor and Tracy head to head, but had one more loss as far as game loss, not match loss, game loss than those two, and ended up being a lower seed. I kind of feel like a head-to-head matchup should have some weight somehow.
Yeah.
But the thing with, and then another thing, which we discussed, was they need to, and I think this is kind of what they're going to try to do next year, is have it so they'll play out that knockout round and then start the semi round the next day, so everybody's starting on the same whatever you want to call it, you know, where so Tom and Terry Rue had been sitting because they'd qualified, and they ran into a white hot Trevor and Tracy coming off of a bunch of wins and lost. And even Tony and I, same thing, sitting. We had to play Joe Rhodes and Shan Coffey first round. We went overtime, and I mean, it was, these guys are hot. You know, we're not. You know, so it's
well.
like,
Let me ask you this then about that. I'm sorry to interject, but so obviously the idea is if you finish in the top 4 seeds, you get that buyout a couple of rounds, right? Is that not an advantage then, is kind of what you're saying, because these teams are able to play a couple of rounds before they meet you? Would you rather play those first couple of rounds leading into it as a general player, or do you think it's a big advantage to be able to get out there into the quarterfinals?
No, it's definitely an advantage to get out there, because I mean, you're just waiting while they have to play an entire bracket. But the solution to avoiding that, a team that's been sitting has to play a team that just won multiple matches in a row and is hot and warmed up and ready to rock, you know, would be that as soon as those knockouts are done, all right, everybody starts at this time tomorrow.
Yeah,
Get
that's a good call.
get everybody there watching. Everybody's on the same page. Get down there early, warm up, do whatever, but you're not playing matches and then going into it, you know?
I agree 100%
Like that.
with all that.
Yep.
I agree with
That's
100%. I
good.
think it's totally fair because that's a real thing where the blood is not, the frequency is off, and you're just like cold and the other team's red hot. I think it's fair. I do agree with you that there's something wrong. It should be weighted. If you beat a team and you're off by one game, like there was a game difference. Is that what you're saying? Like one team won 13 games, the other won 12? That's
Right.
not really.
It was a game difference. It wasn't match difference.
Yeah.
Game difference.
Yeah, all those things. So, I appreciate you guys being guinea pigs for the whole thing, but we got. And I think to the earlier point, it is a mindset change when you go from double elimination to a single elimination after qualifiers. But I believe this. I believe that masters and the top players like yourself, without the safety net, you get challenged differently, and it's just going to bring out the best in you. I mean, I believe that the cream will rise to the top anyway. And I had a little exchange with Tony. It was the same thing. I'm like, look, man, it's going to challenge it differently. The safety net has always been there, but now, so here's my thing about the top players, right? Especially Tony. Tony goes match ball on a bad, like if he's having a shitty tournament, he's going match ball with Ryan Moore anyway. Ryan Moore's he's like one ball ahead. So now, if you put Tony in a situation where, and this is Tony's livelihood, he has one chance. He's not gonna miss that chance. I don't think Tony's gonna miss that chance. So I think it's a different mindset. I think I'm excited to see how it. I appreciate the feedback, and I'm excited to see the future going forward.
No, and I agree. I think not having that safety net as it is in sports these days is probably a good thing for certainly for spectatorship on one hand. And I do agree the head-to-head matchup thing matters if they were tied in games. If they were tied, that should be the number one tiebreaker. But if they're not, it's hard to see, and there's precedent in other sports. It's hard not to. But again, as you say, a head-to-head matchup it's pretty big. So, but I think for the most part, and we love to hear this feedback. Obviously, it's a work in progress. As we talked with David Kala last week, it's an organism that continues to evolve, right? The Swiss system, but at least we have it out there. At least we're using it. Thunderdome, Texas State. At least it's out there being used in this country in order for us to understand what we need to do to make changes and evolve this system.
All about refinement.
Eric, I got. Oh, am I interrupting somebody?
No, you're good.
All right, Eric, I have 3 rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
This is coming from Twitch. Klepto asks, "What's the next tournament you're going to play in?"
Beatdown.
Leap and Lou says, "Did you grow your beard back?"
It's coming in.
It's coming back? Is that
It's
what you
coming
said?
in. Yeah, very, very much so. Very coming
Where's the
in.
video, dude? Is it a filthy,
Can you
grubby
turn
little?
can you
is it
turn
a
your
filthy
camera
grub-
on?
Is
Let's
it,
see.
an Asian, wispy Asian looking thing like I do?
No,
Werewolf
no,
in
it's full
transition.
beard. It's 3 inches long in 2 weeks. We
He's the
know
kind of
that.
guy. He
Wispy
looks like he
Asian.
gets whiplash when he has his 5 o'clock shadow.
Wolverine. You ever seen Wolverine? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. This is from Mike Green.
Another great inspirational movie, by the way, Wolverine.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike Green asks, "Who does Eric hate to lose to most, and why?"
Probably Tom Yor.
Oh.
And why is that?
Hey,
Love
that your family has some deal with somebody somewhere where they get the absolute bounce of that ball every time. Tom and Tommy are getting pretty close as far as tied for which one, but I'm just going to go with your family.
Love it.
My whole line
encompassing
Can
every.
we break that down? Why do you think that is, Eric?
Man, I don't know. It's amazing. It's a.
Oh, wait, I got to before I forget. Beachtown Beatdown has they're gonna play around with the no distraction. This is another thing I've been tinkering with. Basically, it's the idea is unsportsmanlike conduct will not be tolerated. However, engagement with your partner or your opponent during play is open season. What do you think of that?
That's perfect. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah,
One of the great smack talkers in foosball, Eric Hueltner.
Yeah, I love
it. Really? Okay.
People are going to be surprised. Like people are going to be surprised. Some people are going to try. Clay said this last week. Some people are going to try to talk smack, and they're going to realize I can't do this. I mean, I'm not focused. I'm distracted. Some people are going to be like have the under their breath thing, and people think one thing about it, and they're going to be completely surprised at how it actually plays out.
I want to warn everybody: do not try to talk smack with Tommy Atkinson. Just don't go there. Keep your mouth shut, please.
Yeah,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We got to mic those tables, man. We got to make sure those tables are mic'd. That's everybody's asking. Please mic those tables.
That's
up.
huge.
Mic those tables.
That is huge. You got to know what's going on. Eric, here's a quick question. I know it's kind of a side question, but when it comes to the fact that you've played with the top players in the world, I mean, you've played with just about everybody. Is there one person that you have not played with yet that you'd like to play with, and who might that be?
Besides me, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually thought about that.
Okay.
I've talked to a lot of people that I'd like to play, but we haven't played. Terry Rue, Tommy Atkinson, stuff like that.
Yes.
But I don't. That's a good question. I don't know.
Ryan Moore. Yeah.
I played what's called like me and Ryan drew each other once at Florida State and won a draw. So it's like I've at least had the experience of playing with him, not really super high stakes or anything, but somebody who I haven't played with ever at all. I don't know, Fred, maybe somebody like that, but I don't even, it's not, he's not even really somebody I know. He was done when I started for the most part.
Right. Give us a backstory on the Sportsman of the Year. How did that happen? And yeah, everybody seems to think you're the greatest sportsman on the planet.
Oh, gee, man, I hope so. I just been shaking hands and stuff for so long. It's a life goal of mine. I'm just
Wow.
Is there some sarcasm in there? Is it really that people know you're not the best sportsman, or is there? What's the joke? What's the joke behind that?
No, there's no joke. No joke. I just, I've got a very, very want for that Terry Rue award. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen you making the effort. You're generally known as kind of a quiet guy who really doesn't get involved with conversations on and off the table. But I think you have been a little bit more engaging over the last year or so. I can see the effort behind you trying to win this award.
There's been a lot of fist bumps. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Cool.
I see it. I identify that. And I hope Adam
I don't
and
know
Mark
what's
do as
actually
well.
going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's actually going on here. I can't.
You just pay attention, Mark. Pay attention.
And I know somehow this involves Tommy Brewer. But speaking of Tommy Brewer, Eric, did you? I don't know if you've been seeing. He's pushing for next week to be the tournament director, International Tournament Director Appreciation Week,
Sure.
June 13th through the 19th. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, give you guys awards, man. It's rough. That's a rough job,
right?
Nobody
Adam,
nobody
what are we
wants to
doing
do
for that? Do we have to wear like pink shoes? What do we do for that week?
What? I've got a man bun that's in the shape of a peacock head.
I can do that. All right.
Yeah.
Fair
So I'm
enough.
just sending them out right now.
I was going to get a haircut, but I will not now.
Don't get a haircut. No. All that stuff they do down there is great. So that's exciting. Beatdown. That's going to be fun.
Oh my God.
I'm looking forward to it. I didn't get to play it last year. I went down there to observe. But yeah, I didn't play it. But this year I'm playing it, so I'm excited for it.
Eric, bring extra money to buy timeouts. I think you're going to need it.
I probably will, and I probably will buy some.
Yeah,
mostly just to talk. I'm going to buy a timeout just so I have more time to talk.
I can see that.
I can see that Sportsman of the Year award. It's yours, buddy. I can see it coming.
You're going to call a timeout and be like, "Good job, guys."
Right? Exactly. Compliment your shot.
Ooh, yeah. There
So
you
Eric,
go.
I'm going to make this about me and what I want to do again.
It's about time, Mark.
I need you guys to be quiet, okay? Just kidding. We're organizing this Masters Invitational. It's a pro master only event. It's going to simulate, is that the right word? It's going to be like the Beachtown Beatdown. It's probably going to invert the doubles, open doubles with the designated, but the points of scoring will be the same. And it's probably going to pay around $20,000 for 64 players in 4 events. Where do you think is just intuitively, where do you think the ceiling is for an entry fee for you for something like that?
Trying to think how that format is going to be as far as, I don't know. If you're going to try to get, you're going to have to, I would imagine you're going to have to get pros in there as well because you're not 64.
Right. And there's probably going to be, so what we'll do is we'll open it up to masters and pros first, and then give them like 2 weeks and be like, look, if you can't fill this bracket in 2 weeks, we got to open it up to experts. So hopefully there's some motivation and some initiative to shut the bracket down at 64 with all pros and masters, but I don't think we can get to 64. And I'm talking about, even if I called Fred and like said, hey dude, I'll pay your entry fee and your flight to get down here, maybe we get to 45 teams, 50 teams, but assuming you have some experts in there as well. And it's 4 events, right? And it's a draw, 2 draws, a doubles and a singles event.
Me personally, there's other than the risk-free events, any place that you go to, you're paying $300 to $400 to play. So I wouldn't think that anything around those lines is going to be out of line.
Okay, great to know.
You
500 times 64 is 32,000.
Yeah.
And that should fit your dollar amount you're trying to hit, I would imagine.
Good purse for sure. Wow.
For 64 people, it's not bad. It's a lot of foosball.
Yeah, and Eric, as much goalie as he plays, is actually a really good forward as well. We just don't get to see it a lot, right, Eric?
I saw him play.
There's flashes of looking like I know what I'm doing with flash stuff. Man, I wish I had someone who was good up here.
Is that something that you do by choice? You prefer to play in the pit or in defense most of the time?
No, I'd rather play goal than anything. Yeah,
right.
Even in mixed, I'd still rather be playing it, which seemed to. We did all right in Texas or whatever. Me and Maggie playing with her for the most part. She was the forward. I only touched the forward rods a couple of times, but I would rather do that. I'd like to. start getting a little bit deeper and start getting in the mix doing that. And we'll see. We're going to play Worlds together, so we're going to keep on with that format and see how that goes.
What is it about defense that you find more satisfying in this sport than let's say playing forward? What is it the most you enjoy most about playing goal?
I don't know. It takes a certain kind of person that actually wants to be back there. I mean, a lot of people, it's not for everybody. I mean, if you start getting beat up on, you got to make that adjustment quick, or you're looking, like you're just drilling holes in the boat back there, not getting any blocks. And you kind of got to have the right hard-nosed attitude to play goal, I guess you could say, and actually want to be back there. But
does that motivate you when somebody starts to get the better of you, and then you have to make the adjustments that motivate you to be a better player?
Yeah. I mean, if I get lit up by somebody, I'm going to find that video and find the adjustment and find what I need to do. But a lot of times now I have enough, I guess, experience where I can hopefully my forward can keep me into it long enough where I can cycle into something that's going to be, productive, or at least get me a percentage back there. But a lot of the main guys who I have to deal with out there, I've played enough now where I have somewhat of a plan going in. It's the exceptional expert or pro or something like that I don't get to play that may get the better of me for a couple of balls until I can kind of figure out what they're doing or what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. Players that you don't know, where you have to really educate yourself on those first few balls. What wouldn't you also say, as somebody like yourself who actually started their career maybe as a forward, singles player, a little bit of a goalie, etc., but being a goalie and being a really good goalie and being able to play with these top players also has allowed you to play in huge matches, right? Is there anything better than playing in those huge matches on table number one in these finals, in these losers bracket finals, winners bracket finals, etc., against the best players in the world in front of big crowds in major championships? Being a goalie, being a very strong goalie who is able to attract these great players, has allowed you to compete at the highest level. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? Isn't that the most rewarding time there is in foosball? Being on table one in a big match for big money, for a title at a major championship. Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, for sure. That's what everybody, I mean, that's what everybody, I think everybody who's sitting there watching would want to be where, if it's me in there, where I am. And if I'm sitting there watching, I'd like to be where that person was. I mean, that's why everybody's there to do it, is to be in that moment. So yeah, it's about as good as it gets.
To that point, I have a question for you, Erik. What would you say is the difference between what's the difference for you in your mind between a rookie and an expert and a pro, and a pro and a master?
Execution.
Yeah.
Execution up until you get to a master. I mean, you can win pro titles just on execution, to tell you the truth. I mean, honestly, if you're a complete robot with execution, you're going to win some pro events.
And then at the master level, then
master level, it's something else. There's an absolute span of difference between Tony and Ryan and Billy and those guys from the top pros. It's completely different game, and that comes from years of playing on tour against everybody, situational, the fact that these guys step up to the table against these top masters expecting to lose. That you got to factor that in, because a lot of times these guys are just going to beat themselves.
Yeah.
So just from, I don't know what you want to call it, being starstruck or expecting to lose, or whatever you want to call it, but watching video, knowing who you're playing against, there's a huge difference. And there's even a huge difference between low level masters and people like Tony and, Ryan, Billy and stuff like that. I mean,
speak to that though. What is the difference there?
Mastery.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many passes does Tony drop? Does Ryan drop? What shooting percentage do they shoot? How many passes do they defend? It's got to come down statistically, clearly that they're better. And then you figure other stuff, speed and situational stuff in there, and just from being there so many times before where what's coming. There's so many things that separate, though, that even from, people like me to them, like I could play Tony 20 times in singles and I'm going to win one game, and at the same time, it's like, well, you're both masters, like it's not even close. You get that span. There's so much better than everybody else. But I mean, there's people like that that are in every sport.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make a strong argument that you are a master goalie, in that you have at times needed to make that one big block or that one big play in a huge situation, and you come through despite the pressure, quote unquote pressure. So maybe, Tony's going to beat you 20 out of 21 in singles, but you are going to make that big play, a master type play defensively, or you're going to clear the zone when you most need to, or you're going to even hit that big shot when you most need to. So I'm going to make a pretty strong argument that while you may not be able to contend with other masters in singles, as a goalie, you are absolutely a master goalie. Talk a little bit about that.
It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work and a lot of playing, and then getting people to take chances on you. I mean, honestly, people I've I guess ascended with, like I played a lot, over the years with Dylan Marshall. I started playing with Dylan when he was the 16-year-old, I don't know, amateur or rookie or whatever he was, and we both, basically came up, kind of a thing. And it's it's a lot of playing and a lot of work, and a lot of watching video and learning and wanting to be better and analyzing stuff, having the right attitude as far as being able to, grind through a tournament and whatever. It's the sheer amount of hours and time to put into something to be, at that level is mind-boggling for what comes out of it.
I want to use a word that I heard, because you're describing something that we talked to Ryan Moore about, and he was describing this, and the term he used was hyper focus. There's a level of hyper focus that you need at that level to perform at that level, and it sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're sitting there, and you're on table one and everything, like you got, okay, this guy's shooting on you for game ball, and you show him something and take it away and you make the block. It's like people go, oh, good block. And it's like, well, at the same time, I could have watched video on this guy for the last 6 months, and know what he goes for when the pressure's on. Same people, like I could play people locally, and I know as soon as the heat's on, if it's 4-4, this guy's going to do a quick wall pass, and it's just.
So I'm sorry, that's so brilliant, because what you're talking about is it's those moments that you see, that we see in real time. Those didn't happen there. Maybe you set them up defensively, offensively, but those have been weeks, months in planning, in preparation, and dedicating that much of your time to get to that point. That's the mastery.
Right. It could be. And it could be at the same time, I could be playing, this guy showing him a pull side or something the whole time, and he hasn't took it, and you're playing the little chess match at the end. Is he going to take the wide open pull shot, pull side at the end, or is he going to, is he going to fake to it? Or am I, did I talk him into it enough where I know I could just slide my guy out there and get the block? It starts to get into a little chess match towards the end, but.
Love that.
Hey, Eric, my last question for you. Do you have any goals, foosball goals, that you want to accomplish?
I want to win worlds, and I want to have 5 Texas rings on the hand.
Nice.
Nice.
5. You got
those are
3 more to go. Yeah, 3 more.
That's cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, yeah, Eric, having listened to my commentary, what a big fan I am of you, because I love I love the inside game, right? It's inside foos, but I love the inside game. I love guys who do it the right way, who do it the thinking man's way. And I've always admired you. And I'm also a team guy, right? And I talked about it earlier, the way that you fit in literally with whoever you're playing with. You do whatever's necessary, whether you need to score at times, whether it's about feeding them, whatever it is, you're going to fit in with that partner of yours, and generally a very high end partner. And I admire that. I love that. And so if we have said over the years that maybe you're a little underrated, I hope that isn't the case anymore. I hope people recognize what you're doing back there, why you're doing it the way you're doing it, and really appreciate a guy who I think again is probably a top 5 goalie on tour right now, certainly.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And really the way you go about it to me is the right way. So I just want to let you know, and I think you already know it, how much I appreciate your style of play.
Yep. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
So, Erik, I'd just like to take a couple seconds before we let you go to chat about your other passion, which sounds like fishing. So, have you done any kind of competition when it comes to fishing, and what kind of fish do you like to catch most often?
No competitions.
Okay.
It's for the most part. I mean, it being from Wisconsin. I mean, I fish for freshwater fish. Growing up, this and that, fishing with my dad, stuff like that. And Tony and I, and, Emilio, Lindsay, we'd all used to go out on Tony's boat, go fishing, stuff like that, fishing local lakes and whatever. So when we moved down here, we had basically freshwater plus now saltwater fishing. So that was kind of a learning curve or whatever. But
Nice.
when I go over saltwater fishing, which I'm admittedly not super good at or really all that informed at or whatever, but I go over there, fish, with Dylan and stuff like that over there. And here I'm fishing for bass, stuff like that. I got
Right.
chain pickerel in my lake. I got spotted gar in my lake, stuff like that. So that's basically what I'm fishing for.
And do you recall what's the largest bass you've pulled in? What weight?
Oh, geez, not big enough.
Yeah.
I got I had probably a handful that were inching up on 7 pounds, probably a lot of
Nice.
6 or whatever. But
Yeah.
in my lake here, I know there's some big fish in it. But yeah, Tony's definitely got me on the big bass. He's caught quite a few giant bass. But
Gee, it sounds like he's very competitive in fishing as well.
no, it's a competition no matter whatever we're doing. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you got to say,
Erik-
Erik, yeah, it's great stuff.
Erik, last question for me. Any tips for newer players out there that are trying to improve their game?
You got to play people all the time, better people, get on tour, play as many tournaments as you can. The playing on tour as many tournaments as you can and playing against better people is what's going to get you better, 100%.
Yeah, there's certain things you can only learn by doing.
Yep.
Yeah, you can, I mean, obviously execution is huge. I mean, if you're an execution robot, it's going to take you quite a ways, but at the same time, when you got other guys moving in front of you, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well, Erik, we're looking forward to seeing you in the beatdown. Anything you're going to be doing to prepare, and then what are you bringing to the match?
I'm going to bring my mouth to the match.
That's good.
I'm going to try to keep Tom York quiet and let me take care of the talking, and Tom can take care of the playing. And
Sweet.
I think we'll both probably have some beverages or whatever. But I'm actually looking forward to it. That should be a fun one.
Oh, you're
Beverages at the beatdown?
Really?
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
Erik, thanks so much for being with us. I mean, it's such a pleasure, and it's been a while since we've wanted to have you on the show. Hopefully this is not the last time. In fact, the door's always open for you, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, Erik. It's been awesome, dude. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep, take it easy.
Yeah. Erik Hueltner from Florida, top 5 goalie in foosball. Guys, what do you think about this one? This is a great interview tonight.
This was a great show, and I've been trying to. I don't know. I think there might be 3 guys, maybe, and I don't even know if we can call 3. So I think if Ryan Moore's really focused, then everyone's going to take Ryan as a goalie, right? And then you got like Brandon Moreland, and you got Robbie. Is Robbie still playing foosball? So you got this guy might be in the top 3 of goalies, focused like committed goalies right now. He's probably one of the most sought after and top goalies in the world in Tornado.
Yeah, no question
yeah.
about it. You just look at the guys who he has played with, and that should tell you all of it. He mentioned Tommy Orr, obviously Tony, guys like that. Dylan Marshall. Yeah, that should tell you all you need to know about Erik Hueltner. And of course, if you've watched Inside Foos videos, you know that this guy is an impact player back there at goal.
Wow, that's an exclusive club right there. That kind of dedication for sure. And loved how he talks about what it takes to really be that top-notch goalie. Love that.
Hard work. It takes work.
Yep.
It really does. It takes work, and it takes playing against better players than you. Yep.
No doubt. Guys, any closing or parting shots? So, Jim?
No, not a lot. It was a lot of fun doing the movies, and more have occurred to us as we've gone along. And whether they're inspirational movies or just movies we liked, whatever. But I think we all in music, movies certainly have been an inspiration for all of us as foosball players throughout the years. And I think when we reflect back on our careers, no matter how long they are, certain songs, certain movies, kind of were the background of certain eras of our careers.
Love
for sure, that was a lot of fun.
Adam?
Yes. Wait, was that a shot at me, Jim, or is it at Mark?
No, it was not. No.
Okay.
You and I won 4-on-4 together.
Actually,
buddy.
That's all that matters. Yeah. But let's see. What's my only parting shot here is that I do think I love this international tournament director appreciation week starting tomorrow through the 19th.
Yeah.
It's your next tournament you go to this coming week. Get him a drink. Get him some ketchup. Get him something. Just give him a slap.
Let him know you
back.
appreciate him. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. That's great.
Is it? I'm not a smart man, but I'm smart enough to know that I'd never want to be a tournament director.
No.
That's way too much work.
I've been one. I've been one.
Yeah.
It is not
Yes.
easy.
Get him some salsa.
There's no reward. Yeah.
Mark?
No, man, I had a great time. Thank you. I hope I wasn't. I mean, I was trying to have fun during the movies. Well, I'm sure I could think of one at some point. But yeah, no, it's always fun, man. I like I said, I always love doing this. Twitch is great. It adds a whole new thing, and I'm excited to grow this new vehicle. And thank you to Clay Toomey for, just being there to engineer all this and produce it and put it together for us. So it's awesome. Thank you guys.
Very cool.
Yeah, and you notice our backgrounds here, Mark. It takes a lot of effort. It really takes a concerted effort. It is by design that you are sitting in front of a gray wall.
Yeah.
100%. You could have done something differently. You chose not to. This is by design.
Yes.
No question.
It's contrast.
I love drywall.
Very intellectual, by the way. And guys, just I have to say this, glaring omission when it comes to the list of movies, no Coen Brothers films. Like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Because they all suck.
No.
They not all suck. You're horrible, Adam.
They're an acquired taste.
They're
sure.
overrated, and I'm sorry.
Come on.
Which one
Except
would
Oh
have
Brother,
made
Where
it?
Art Thou is a masterpiece.
Yes,
I love
it
the
is.
music. The music was great in that movie.
Sure.
Incredible.
But
And Big Lebowski? Come on. Just amazing.
I've never seen a movie try to masturbate itself.
You want a toe? I'll get you a toe.
Always talking about your hair. Always talking about your hair.
It's a Mr. Man bun. Anywho.
Well, guys,
good one.
Let's do this.
Well, always my final shot. Always a lot of fun hanging out with you guys on Sunday
yeah.
nights. Really enjoy it. It's one of the highlights of my week is talking foosball on a Sunday night with you guys.
Oh yeah,
a lot
likewise.
of fun.
So cool. And Twitch number 2, of course, this week. And Clay, how did things go? Just before we go, what we have a lot of Twitch viewers this evening.
I didn't really look at the numbers too much, but
okay,
in the millions, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
just don't even look. Don't look.
Definitely.
Just we can assume the millions.
It's actually a good idea to not really pay attention to the numbers in the moment because you get influenced by that. And if it's really high, you like get a little too confident. If it's really low, you start thinking like, what am I doing wrong? So there's a way on Twitch where you can turn off the viewers, and even though I'm not really doing a whole lot, I'm just listening to you guys.
Well, we do our best not to turn off the viewers on a weekly.
Right. And
the opposite, baby. The opposite.
So Jim, your wife Amy has said it best. She says good night with an exclamation point.
Whoa, dude, that's a shot at Jim.
It's like, okay.
Well, anywho.
Well,
you're right.
With that, we're back together again.
Good night. Good night,
Tom. Yes. Good night, guys. Good night. Good night, John Boy. And,
good night, everybody.
All right. Take
Good
care,
night.
guys.
Hey, wait, what about the thing?
FoosTalk Live proudly presents a weekly update of events near you with the FoosTalk Live Tournament Beat. Here's what's up. Here comes the 2022 Seattle Open, June 17th through 19th at Bolero's South Seattle 100 Andover Park West, Seattle, Washington. It's the 2022 National Foosball Championship North American Cup, June 22nd through June 26th at the Clarion Hotel and Conference Center, Lexington, Kentucky. Coming right up, the 2022 ITSF World Cup and World Championships, June 28th through July 2nd, Nantes, France. Don't miss the next 518 Foosball Smashdown, Saturday, July 9th, Trick Shot Billiards and Wicked Eatery, Route 9, Clifton Park, New York. The South Florida Foosball Club proudly presents the 2022 Beachtown Beatdown, July 15th through 17th, Lilo Street Food and Bar, Lake Worth Beach, Florida. Two Gun Promotions presents the 2022 $10,000 No Pro Nationals, July 15th through 17th, at Magoo's 5002 South Memorial, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Don't miss the $12,000 Mississippi State Foosball Championships, August 5th through 7th, Holiday Inn Pearl, 110 Bass Pro Drive, Pearl, Mississippi. It's the first annual Ozark Open, Sunday, August 15th, 2588 North Gregg Street, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Here comes the 2022 $100,000 Tornado Championships of Professional Foosball, August 31st through September 5th, the Clarion Hotel, 1950 Newtown Pike, Lexington, Kentucky. It's the 2022 $10,000 Michigan State Foosball Championship, sponsored by Foos Gadgets, September 30th through October 2nd at the Hilton Garden Inn, Lansing West, Lansing, Michigan. The South Florida Foosball Club proudly presents Thunderdome 2, coming in October of 2022. Listen for more details. Each week, we do our best to give you the most up-to-date listing of foosball tournaments near you. If you have an event you would like to add, send us all the details at info@foosballradio.com. Tune in every week for the FoosTalk Live Foosball Beat. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, Protectoflex, Rodlock, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, the USTSO, and Foosball Clubs USA. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.